And who knows, maybe I should find a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? Maybe a blonde one who is like a gentleman type thing and has a work partner who's really, really cool, and I kind of think she'd be a great best friend for me, and, you did say cops are all lazy. A girl with managerial skills could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you. 12:46. I don't know what my timeline for this one is. I can't remember Dawes' voice either. Morgan, how did you get so turned around? God only knows. Lucky I found my way here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure I should actually be talking to you without legal present. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything, it's just like, I think that with the Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. Oh, that's good to hear. No, if anything, it's the big names who are going down. Going down? State was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courtroom last night. They're hungry for blood. And looking to carve out a huge slice of Noble's flesh. What, like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then, sanctions. They can't sanction Noble. We're too big to fail, too valuable to lose? You're exactly right. That's what they'll say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm gonna be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating. Offering up smaller names on silver platters. Full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labelled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the animate 16, they can't do a recall, not at this scale. The state will make them do a flat refund. Flat refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your board probably just wants Sarah to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but one they know they won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I win, that would mean Sarah's not an AI, David Asher was always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with the animate 16. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Sarah's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Well, if you insist. Tenets. Oh, that's unlocked now. Or is it? No, it isn't. Why not? Noble and AI? Humour me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is a concern for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk, because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract. Trying to code an AI in Tess is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Asher, something that simple would be... Better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more than time and resources? It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Asher. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible. But he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess he was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Yes, that's unlocked the tenants. Right, let me just check the thing he said. Sanctions. Financial restrictions imposed by the state. Punitive measure. Key tool in statecraft. Under conditions, state may choose to place sanctions on an individual, thereby preventing them from exchanging currency issued by that. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeesh. Alright, Animate 16. Noble's spending months promoting the A16 as the culmination of David Asher's work. So now that marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, can you tell me how much he actually contributed? I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically. It pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. And yet, compared to what goes on in Sarah's brain as 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meagre of the fruits that his private work bore. So if Noble ever did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that he'd been holding out on them. I mean, this is motive for Young. My theory, and I'm just reiterating it one more time, is that Young killed him because she did it for the company, because they've made at least one, I think, multiple references to how Young puts the company first and always knows what's best for the company. And, like, even David has acknowledged that. And with them going back a long way, and the fact that she can just drop by his house, the fact that she had access to the kitchen, and used a glass at some point, even though she was apparently in a rush, you know, there are a lot of questions around her and some of her activity, and she definitely has motive if she found out about Sarah, which I'm fairly sure she did. Or she might not even have found out about Sarah, because she didn't react to Sarah being there. So I think she found out about the AI, or suspected maybe. Like maybe when she had a conversation with David and was like, yeah, so why did... No, sorry, I'm falling over myself a bit here. Did Noble know David had used AI? Like the higher-ups only. Because that would explain why they weren't really pushing the animate. Because I thought it was because like the soldier he'd saved had died or suffered some negative consequences from the chromofuge that he got given. But if it was because the chromofuge and stuff were, or maybe not even the chromofuge, just the A16 in general, were heavily influenced by an AI, then that would mean they don't want to stack too many things on there, because when it will fall bigger. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions? I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds weren't pleased. But the board was very enthusiastic. So that would spur them to be protective of David. Or would they fear he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they'd need a strong motive to justify killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A16 is compromised. I stayed up all night, sick with dread of the idea. But the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong. And the A16 base code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there were an issue, we would have caught it by now. And I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like the 14 or 15s so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, practically got the spreadsheet seared into my retinas. What do you want to know? Do I not get to ask about the tenants, or are we going to go back to that? I hope we go back to that, because otherwise I missed out. But this game hasn't really done, like, locked off dialogue trees before. What do the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen. Mostly hardware complaints, it looks like. Batteries running out too quick, eye tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff? As cliched as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting fired away under bug reports. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, where there are more androids. Coastal cities like ours, of course, are the most of both. And since the A16 in particular is marked as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside of population centres. They can do the rural hard labour jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, and, you know, adult industries. Oh. Sorry, I didn't mean to be blunt, No, it makes sense, they're warm and soft to the touch and obedient. Just surprised to hear it from a company employee. There are a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it, but I work in quality assurance. I've seen too... Oh, no! Oh! Oh, I can't even imagine. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. No, don't ask about that, Morgan. Damages? That's what we call when a customer tries to return a product they've clearly broken beyond repair. Oh. Very high turnover in the pink market. Hasn't stopped you from selling to them. Well, we don't sell to them, not directly. But there are resellers and the company's never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? I thought I read that right to repair got shot down again. There's been a grey market for softer androids for years or decades, depending on your definition of android. Based on the sales numbers I've seen, RTR, that's right to repair, getting canned was barely a blip on their radar. So I assume the difference there, I think the distinction is right to repair means they cannot attempt to repair anything that's damaged, but presumably the second-hand market just sells as is, and then that's just a complete sidestep. Sorry, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Me? No, I don't care. I just realised my left sock's on inside out. Oh, so's mine. And my right sock. Like, genuinely, I wear my socks inside out. More comfortable. Damn, now I'm wondering about that myself. Yeah, you should. It is much more comfortable. You don't get that, like, seam across the toes. Really annoying. You bought that? Shipping. This floor's basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out of there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Something wrong? No, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. Is that unusual? Well, this section is just a count of how many was sent where. There's not a lot of room for errors. There shouldn't be much need for corrections. It's no problem, though. I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No, the overall sum's the same. It's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, 29FFCE 010311 taken out, returned for adjustments. 27FCDD 019634 substituted in, shipment leaves on time. 63BBTC 899543 returned to assembly for revisions, replaced by 67BBTD 592689, shipment leaves on time. So does all that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit imperfections among a shipment at that stage in the process? Must have been someone with a lot of experience or authority. Probably both. Must have? You don't know who made these changes? I can tell you they were somebody important. Maybe young. Small last-minute changes to which androids get shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, but it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. That is weird. Why would that happen? Because I've been assuming that, because they talked about, maybe the A16 is compromised. I'm fairly sure it isn't, because David kept a degree of separation between the AIs that he was working with and Noble. He essentially pitched them as his own work. And he was apologetic for that, in a way, but at the same time, at no point did they have direct contact and such. So, unless he unwittingly compromised them, which seems unlikely, because I think they're more concerned, what if we've accidentally made the A16 into an AI? Also, I'm not oblivious to the fact that A16 looks like AI6, but anyway. So for someone to actually be taking individual ones out of shipments, I mean, it sounds like spot checks, but it seems an odd way to do them. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Fair enough. Good, I can do the tenets. I know you're convinced the tenets are safe. So how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer that comes to mind. Is the dog to the left or to the right? As I'm looking at it, the dog is to the right. I'd say the dog is on the right, cat is on the left. You might expect half the people to say left, half to say right. But actually their answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's read right to left or left to right. That's bloody clever. Did I do it that way then? There's a cat next to a dog, left to right. Oh wow! That is incredible. That is so clever. Be honest in the comments. Tell me which way round you pictured it. And whether sort of that matches your native language. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages and it can change their perspective. But machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. Huh. Interesting. I'm going to go off on a tiny tangent. Hopefully I'll keep it short. I've been working on The Far Waste, which is a post-apocalyptic TTRPG that I do devlogs on the Garian Tabletop channel. You should definitely go check it out. And one thing in that is that there are androids. And they were invented before the apocalypse as essentially a sort of as a worker class, a slave class, more or less. And then when the apocalypse happened, they took the chance to essentially just declare independence as sort of either on an individual basis or as a collective, or, everybody individually coming to the same collective answer. Because, hell, humans had a lot more going on to deal with and didn't have that to worry about. And the reason they sort of didn't fight it afterwards was because in the suddenly horrendously dangerous and resource-short post-apocalypse, having someone in your settlement who won't use any food or water, but is still a capable pair of hands to work, and all they need is a bit of electricity to recharge, that's a massive boon. So in that way, robots and androids and such are completely accepted in the Far Wastes. And they are proper AI. They have individuality, they have hopes and dreams, they learn, they reproduce by going to factories and inputting patterns to create more of their kind, that kind of thing. And I guess I've not thought about how their AI came about, because I like the concept. Sorry, my tangent's going deeper, or further. I don't know. I like the concept of organic growth, artificial organic growth, is a way to put it, I guess. He said as it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1, And with the whole new source code thing, he's saying that if something is not an AI, it can't become an AI. It's something that was there from the beginning. They can't suddenly gain independence one day, which I guess is logically true in the real world, although I'm not sure I agree. Every update's a reincarnation. I'm not sure I agree with that, because like if my computer's on Windows 10 and I keep getting pestered to upgrade to Windows 11, if I do that, it's still the same computer. It just has a different operating system. All of the memory is still there. And that is the same with us. You know, the reason we grow as people, even when we learn new things, is because we have the same memory. So if our memory was wiped when we learned a new language, it wouldn't change our perspective. It would be a reincarnation. So theoretically, if you could update a system without wiping the memory, why would it be a reincarnation? It's an evolution. So no, I disagree with you, Dawes. I think you're wrong. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah. Unnecessarily cruel. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Chemistry's a little out of my purview. What is this? A compound found in David Ash's blood. The poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in any database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Noble's internal databanks. We don't make poison here. I mean, what a stupid thing to say, Dawes. Anything that has a harmful effect when ingested is poison. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. What are you putting in your baby blankets? You'd think it was something industrial? I suppose it could be. Looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a lot. No, it's not exactly... What is it? Doesn't make any sense, but it's a match for patent NOD 52345S. A synthetic produced neurotransmitter analog for use in organic and android components. Serotonin. Oh, she was being poetic. Ah. Oh, God. Young. Why do murderers showboat so much? A key ingredient in every warm android they manufacture. So, serotonin, if I remember correctly, and apologies, it has been a long, long game. Here we are, serotonin. Oh, that's the one I just read. But yes, I'm fairly sure that was one of the big breakthroughs that David had, presumably assisted by his AI. And if Young found that out, she would want to get revenge on him using, or she could want to. I don't know that it really fits her personality that we've seen, but she could get revenge on him by feeding him the same thing that contaminated her company, you know? It's like, see if you like having this without your... being contaminated by this without your knowledge type. Yeah. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact differently with the nervous system, in David's case, depressing enough to put his life in danger. It also explains why it was a preset in his personal nanofacturer. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that was what killed him? Helen Young led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yes, she did. I should go and ask her about its composition then. Normally someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago. Okay, no, that wasn't an AI then. So that wasn't an AI-driven thing. That was just her thing. Okay, pivot then. Instead of it being a case of, this is poetic revenge, it's still poetic, but in a, look at what I can do without AI. This is what I made type thing. But she does have a reputation for being very detail-oriented. That works out nicely then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at a 15-minute stand-up. I heard a rumour that she once said bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. Aren't they? I'm kidding. But you should be careful about criticising your superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Well, that was a very shady way to say that. Thanks for cooperating, Dawes. When the state storms the building and starts zip-tying people, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Yeah. Nice joke. You are joking, right? One more thing. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy?